The impact of COVID-19 and the worldwide pandemic and the shifts from what we thought we knew schooling was to what schooling had become have had a profound impact on us, negative and positive. The positive impacts are we learned that we can execute adaptive change in remarkably compact periods of time, and we can transition, transfer, and transform how we deliver our craft of education. That's positive. The negative, the profoundly negative impact has been on the social isolation. During the pandemic, turning the schoolhouse into an empty brick structure and sending people home alone had a profoundly negative impact. Everybody was working as hard as they could. It just wasn't the same. Teachers thrive on that social interaction and the socialization of simply being present with colleagues in a school. When we took that away from them, or the pandemic caused us to take that away from them, their levels of anxiety, stress, and possibly depression also increased. The impacts of the pandemic have been profound and mostly negative, but some positive. I've been a public school superintendent for 13 years, a public school administrator for 25, and a public school educator for about 31. Never in the 13 years that I've been a superintendent have I seen the amount of resignations, earlier retirements than thought of, transitions, statewide crossings of superintendents. The stress, the political divisiveness around our nation, the intensity of the uncertainty of making decisions in an unknown world that we'd never been faced with have caused, hopefully, a situation that we can come back from and mitigate. But right now, the impact on school superintendents has been extremely difficult and extremely, probably long-lasting, just based on the mental stress. I'd like to consider myself an eternal optimist, and I have been for all of my years in education. My daughter is in school in the university to become a teacher. I have devoted my professional life to service of others, teaching and educating, training leaders and supporting and developing leaders. I see the future of education as the brightest star there is. I do, however, see about a 3 to 5 year challenge period. Some call it the critical shortage of teachers or the critical shortage of administrators. That will have a legitimate impact on us. I do see education as the brightest star in the future, as large as it can ever be and as impactful as it can be. But right now we're in a 3 to 5 year slight drop, I think, emotionally, mentally, and it's going to be a struggle. So over my career, I've been blessed with meeting incredible leaders. I've been blessed with learning from fantastic scientists and researchers and authors and thought leaders. One in particular has had a super impact on me as a professional, me as a person, and our school district. I first met Shawn Achor through one of the professional associations where he did a keynote. And I was really struck by the impact and inspiration he had. Not simply a pick-me-up guy. He is, but not simply that. There's depth. There's scientific depth. There's structural depth. There's evidence-informed, research-based depth. And so I picked up the Happiness Advantage book. I read through it. We did the Orange Frog training in our school district in the midst of the pandemic. And we've revisited it, and we've made sure that we've done it again. I've read Big Potential. I've met with colleagues in the area who have just really run with this and made huge impacts on their organizations. The Happiness Advantage, Orange Frog, Shawn Achor, this is a set-apart person. This is a set-apart learning and training that has positively and deeply impacted me and our school organization. Yes, what I love about working with hundreds of people is you get to get hundreds of opinions. And what I love about working with hundreds of people is you get to get hundreds of experts in everything. So some of the people said, oh, come on, what's this catchy thing you're trying to do? Or what's this cutesy program you're trying to introduce? And when I would say, you know, this is based on evidence, research, and science, and it's got its birth from Harvard University, so give it a shot. Give it a chance. There may be some cutesy stuff to it. There's nothing wrong with cutesy. We're in elementary school. There's some substance behind it. So even the most pessimistic colleagues of mine and even the most naysaying staff members, they actually said, okay, wait a minute. So if I practice this, I can actually change my brain. I can change my mindset. And some people were absolutely changed by it and positively impacted. Yeah, I'll give you some personal ones. I won't identify names and everything, but we had some staff members reach out to myself, to other administrators, and say, listen, I was going through a personal struggle. It's not really well known. People don't know about it. I didn't really know what you guys were sharing with us. I didn't know if this book study was going to mean anything. I actually think that this has changed my relationship with my husband, and I really want to thank you for bringing it to the workplace. And we would hear anecdotes about that. And then we would hear some of the staff members who would say, actually, you guys really try hard and you do a nice job with your efforts in PD. This was really meaningful because I feel like I can actually do something right now as a person and a professional with what you've shared. And those anecdotes kept coming. And people understand that orange is the color of happiness in District 112. And it's not just a catchphrase. It's not silly. It's actually real and lasting. Actually, I have. Our school district is blessed. Every superintendent will say this, but our school district is blessed with some of the best teachers in the world. In our schools, we have a commitment to mental health and wellness and social and emotional learning as well as academic learning. So not only have I seen the principles of the happiness advantage and more specifically the orange frog concepts in our classrooms, we also implement things like Calm Classroom. So we're all about this stop, pause, reflect, change the brain, change the mindset. So I do see this in our leadership team. I see this in the leaders themselves, and I have seen this in the classroom as I've walked about the buildings. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Credit Peter Drucker. Culture is everything. When you lead with your heart and when you lead with empathy and when you lead understanding you've got to measure and act on culture, as this entire program and principles and set of research findings show, it aligns with my entire leadership background of decades. Culture is everything. Relationships are everything. The human heart and the essence of social connection in schooling is everything. So this is 100% top 1% of what's important for people in positions like mine to be sharing with staff and people that work with students every day. Yeah, I would recommend to any superintendent in this country or any school board, buy the Happiness Advantage and read it in a leadership study and start there so you understand the concept and principles first. And then talk to people like myself and other superintendents around the United States and with the AASA and find out, well, what did you do? How did you do it? Start with the book study and then level it up.